Okay, third try, third time's the charm. I've tried to record this and then I had issues with volume and the screen wasn't set up right, so I'm going to hopefully do it right this time. Just wanted to give a little tutorial about Audio Sauna. I've wanted to play music, and I've always had a interest in composing music, I guess. Since I was a teenager, I would make up tunes in my mind, and I just have always been kind of a musical type of person, even though I never learned an instrument. I played the guitar, I played chords and harmonica, but in any case, I was doing YouTube videos and I wanted to have soundtrack music, and the YouTube free music library is fairly limited, and there's other things you can do that are open source, but the quality and the selection is pretty poor. So I stumbled across this thing called Audio Sauna, which is the ability to create synthesizer-based music and create multiple tracks and mix the tracks together, and the devices and everything uniquely configure the sound. So this is a free platform online. I don't know how long it'll be there, but there are tools you can buy software to do this. But my guess is this is out there kind of becoming an open source thing. So I wanted to show you how this worked, and then what I learned from it, because the videos that I've seen on YouTube on tutorials on this are not very good. So anyway, here is how I did it and what I've learned about it. So I'll go over to the monitor, and you just go in and go type in audiosauna.com, and you'll come up with this window. You don't want to, I didn't install it. I don't know if it installs, it might install a Chrome plugin or something, but I can't remember if I even did that. I don't think you even need the Chrome install anyway, but you do need Flash, so if you want to run it, it may prompt you to load Flash player, and you'll want to do that. Okay, so we click on Open Studio. They're not running ads, so I don't imagine they're making any money on this right now. You can close the ad window. Eventually it'll come up with the default window, which is basically Analog Synth 1 is the device that it's showing on the screen. I'm going to close that because it's a little confusing when you first get into this what that is, so we'll just get rid of that, and we'll talk about the screen here. So you have three sections, I would call it. You've got the mixer down at the bottom, if you can follow my mouse. So on the mixer, the default setting, you've got Analog Synth 1, FM Synth 1, and Sampler 1. They're just different sounds on each one. Now the sampler's actually got some percussion. You can create your own samplers. Apparently I haven't done that yet, but the sampler that they give you in the default has some percussion, like cymbal and clapping sounds and stuff like that. Okay, so that's the device or the mixer section, which has your devices. You can also, there are other things you can view here, but I don't really use them much. So if you show arrangement, it'll toggle back and forth between, it'll show you the different, on the play line, your different devices and what they are. That may be useful in some cases where you want to see where you are, what's being played, but I haven't used it much. So I usually just leave it on this composition window, I call it. And then here is the mixer. You can actually get rid of the mixer window, so you have a little more visibility on your octaves on your screen, your composition screen. Normally I do leave the mixer window open if I can, because it allows me to switch back and forth between devices easier or faster. So these are the devices. This is the composition window where you can create notes or sounds and then compose what you're going to do. And then up at the top is the different options. So you've got here, this is the in musical terms, you've got bars, and then you can define how many beats or notes are in a bar, and so this is 16 in this bar. So you've got 2 bars, and there's 16 beats per bar, or notes per bar, measure, whatever they call them. I don't know the terms. I'm not a musician, but In any case, that's the default setting. And then note editing tool, I don't use that. I'm not going to even touch on that at the moment. I don't think it's something I want to go into quite yet, but you can experiment with it. The pan tool is something if you just want to move around, but I don't use that much. And then the ones I use: eraser, pencil, and select. Those are the three things I use the most. Okay, so we go into the next thing here is we'll look at how long is your recording section. So up here you've got the green bar. There's two bars, bar 1, bar 2. If you have it on toggle looping, you go down to the bottom, there's a little button called toggle looping. If you click that, then it won't loop the play. It'll play the 2 bars and then loop around and just continuously play when you're playing back. For reasons I'll explain probably later, is just leave the toggling on. That way it won't go past the record bar, and then you'll get kind of lost sometimes trying to find where the play is. Okay, we'll start off with FM Synthesizer 1, the device. And what we want to do is select the sound of that device. So we go Options, Show Selected Device. So now we can see FM Synthesizer 1, and we can make the sound anything we want. So the bass sound, the standard sound, is bass 01. We may want this to be kind of a background sound, so I'll go in and select Pad Human. That might be a good one to use to select. There's other sounds you can try them all out and see what they sound like. Here's one, bells. But I'll leave it on Pad Human and just go from there. Okay. You can select the octaves here, but that only affects which keys you get. So I'll explain this a little bit when I get rid of the window here, but the octaves, there's certain keys on your typing keyboard that you can use to make notes appear on the screen when you're composing. So I'll close the window. If I'm just here, I can hit a note. It's not recording, it's just playing. If I hit my keyboard G, see, G is actually equivalent to something down at the bottom here. I'll go up a little higher. There's L. There's a semicolon. I think when you're selecting octaves, those keys will be either higher or lower in the octave. So I think you get basically 1 octave or approximately 1 octave on your typing keyboard if you wanted to type in notes down here on your keyboard. Probably more than you need to know, but I just wanted to let you know the octave does seem to affect your keyboard, but not necessarily what you get on the device. So if you look at the device view, you'll see these things here. And if you change octave, it won't make any difference, but it does make a difference on the keyboard if you're typing notes. I turned out to not use typing notes all that much, but sometimes I do. Okay, so let's say I want to compose something. I want to create some sound. So I'll just try the letter H, for example. I can hit the note with my mouse, or I can hit the letter H. Now if I click on the pencil tool up at the top, now it's going to create a note. Now it didn't create the note with just the letter H, but if I click with my mouse, now it's created that note. And it's just 1 beat out of the 16 in this bar, so you don't really hear much. There's a little bit of a reverb on it by default because of the kind of device it is. I can also select that and then kind of stretch it out a little bit. And I can also go back. The play line is here. If I hit rewind, it just goes back to the beginning like that. But it only goes back a certain amount per click. So if you're way out further, like 70 bars out, it's going to be tedious to use that. But that's the way it works. Okay, so if I play it now, okay. So that's creating notes. If you hit record and then you play notes with your keyboard, they'll show up on the screen, and then you can stop the recording. It's only recording when you're playing notes. But you'll notice it doesn't sustain those notes, it just shows them up on the screen. So it's really just like using your mouse with pencil and creating notes that way. But what I do sometimes with background music is I'll stick stuff up here and I'll kind of overlap them, because it might have a little, and you can step them up a little bit so that there's a certain pleasant sound. That way you're stepping up into like a chord. So we'll play that and just kind of show you what it sounds like. And then you can hear these were going down. So I'll click on that and I'll put this one up here, kind of like this, and then we'll cut Control C if you've got something selected. See, I've still got my pencil bar on, so every time I click on something it creates that note. If I want to erase it, only use eraser and then get off of it. So I click on eraser, click on the thing I want to erase, and then immediately go back to selection. Otherwise, if I wanted to copy that and I was accidentally on eraser, it would erase it. So it's an easy way to lose your work if you don't stay off of eraser except when you're using it. Okay, Control C and then Control V, and it put that note back, it appended it on the same line there, and then I can move it down here like that. And then again, I'm on selection, I'm not on eraser. If I did this on eraser, it would immediately erase those notes. Okay, so we'll overlap a little bit, and then we'll just play it and see what it sounds like. Okay, I'll extend that one a little bit further, and then I'll kind of select those notes, and then I can come over here and see I'm overlapping a little bit. Let's see what that sounds like. I'm overlapping this note here from the previous segment, and then I'm playing another segment, sort of just what I call a segment or a part of my phrase that I'm trying to put in. Okay, you get the idea. And I want to make sure that my record bar is at least past or equal to the longest note. So if you accidentally, sometimes you can, if it gets too far past it, let's just try it and I'll show you if it works the way I think it does. Okay, I've got a note that goes beyond, and there I did it again, see? Erase, now I get off of erase. If it plays to this point, it may continue on past the play bar and not loop. Let's see if it does it. Now that was okay. If you don't have loop on, it will definitely go past that point, and then you can get lost. So see how I went past my third bar, part of the third bar. If you left that on, it would just keep going and going, and you'd have to find your play bar again, which is kind of a pain. So normally I leave loop on, and normally I leave my notes not going past that, and then I try to make it an even number of bars just for the heck of it, and then I can kind of what I'll do is I can extend this one all the way there, and then this one I'll extend only partly there, and so it kind of fades out a little bit that way. Let's see what it sounds like. Okay. Alright, so that's FM synthesizer 1, just example of the sounds you can have. Analog synthesizer, again, we'll display options. We can now pick the kind of device we want. See what chord sweep sounds like here. That's chord sweep 1 and chord sweep 2, and now this is chord sweep 3. Kind of similar. I'll just leave it on chord sweep 2 for the heck of it, and then we'll see what our... Okay. So I'll go back to the beginning. I can play some notes with my keyboard, just see what they sound like. Sometimes if you've got a tune or a certain melody you're trying to play, you can kind of figure it out. So that's H, J, L. So if I hit record, I can hit H, J, L. But you'll notice the delay is not indicated in the recording, so you'd have to get off of record. Now you get your 3 notes, and then you've got to kind of get your timing set up so it'll play the notes in the kind of the timing you want. It's not a perfect tool, it just sort of gives you an idea how you can synthesize music. So again, if I want this to be a little longer, and then see if it has a little better sound to it. Not as long as I want, so I can kind of overlap still, but I want to make them a little longer, so I kind of stick them out like this. And then let's see what it sounds like. And then so D, S, W. So if I hit record and I hit D, S, W, for some reason it's not showing my notes, and I don't know why. Let's see. Let's see, record, D, S, W. And let's see if they are. See, they show up down below. That's right. The octaves weren't visible. Okay, so I've got my selection tool off. I can just sort of, well, I can leave it there. Move them a little bit more back this way, and then we'll see what it sounds like. Not quite what I want, but you kind of get the idea. You can move things around with your mouse, and again, I'm just trying to avoid overlapping the record bar. Oh, go back. I had erase on. See how it erased it? That's fine. I'm just going to leave this here. Push this one out kind of to the end, and then we'll let it play and just see how it works. Okay, so you have analog synthesizer 1 and FM synthesizer 1 playing at the same time. So those are the tracks for FM synthesizer, analog synthesizer. We didn't do sampler. So sampler is your percussion. I'm going to move the volume down so that I have a little more, I can hear my percussion, because it's not always loud enough. And if you just show the selected device on percussion, see how bass 1 is a little more you can hear it better. Bass 2 is kind of timid. Snare. And then where's the cymbal? So those correlate to keys on the keyboard, and that can be a little tricky. I've got a cheat sheet I use just so I know which keys do what. So there's your bass. And if I don't want to be quite that low, let's see here. So there's a clapping sound. So if I just do this and go back, so you heard the clapping, and then so I can select again, and then I can copy this, and then I can copy all of it. Okay, so the first 2 beats, and then I've got this middle 2 beats here, and then I'm kind of repeating it, and then let's see, so I can use this and then put 2 there. So now I've got 3 different percussion sounds, and then okay, so right on C4, and I can just, you know, try different things, see what sounds good. So my first bar, my percussion for my first bar is pretty much that. Okay. And then if I just wanted to, there we go, erase, get off of erase. So I can copy my, I've got it on select, I could copy my percussion just for the heck of it. And now my second bar is exactly like my third or my first, and my fourth bar is exactly like my first and second. So we'll see what they sound like now together. Oops, I got past the play. Here we go. And see how it went past my play bar? I don't know why it, sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. Okay, that just gives me a little margin there. Let's see how it does. I put the loop on. Okay, so there's your 3 sounds. If I want to just listen to the percussion, if I go down to my, down below here to my devices, I can hit mute on analog and FM synthesizer, and I'll just play my percussion. Okay, and the same for the other thing. So if I just want to hear, I can mute everything except FM synthesizer. Like here. And if I want to modify FM synthesizer, I can add stuff. Like say I just add something here. See what it does. See, it added something. I may go down here and add something else. And let's say I go down a little bit lower. Just kind of make it something really low. Yeah, it's not really that low, but there. So you get the idea. Play around with it. Do it sounds good, and so on. Okay, I think that's about it. I'm just going to show you the save function, so I can say file, save to my computer. it'll save the configuration of that song. So I go demo song, and now I've saved my work. I can also do export as a audio file. I don't do loop normally, I just do export as an audio file. And then save, and it saves it as a WAV file, which is a little longer than an MP3, a little bigger than MP3 files. And then I can save it, and now it's portable. I can play that track if I want to. Let's see if I've got it here. Yeah, I'm not going to look for it. It's basically, it's a file on my computer, and I can use that. What I can do is take that file and import it into DaVinci Resolve, but then I can dub that into my videos and stuff like that. Hopefully that helps. I'll show you what I did with my test track that I did. I had something called Composition with Percussion version 3. Okay, I'll go back, say I'm on bar 59, so I'm way from the beginning. So it's kind of tedious to get back to the beginning, and if there's a way to do this easier, let me know. I haven't found it. I can just drag it over like that. Normally you're not working on everything at once, you're working on a segment of something. And screwed that up. That's okay, I'm not going to save this. And I'm trying to get my, I'm trying to get my my play. Yeah, it's a little bit easier. I think you have to be above the composition bar or window. Okay. So anyway, I've got sampler 2, which is percussion. I only used percussion about the first third of the, or first quarter of the track. FM synthesizer was this. The analog synthesizer was this. There's a second FM synthesizer which I used for some different sound, and then an analog synthesizer that I used for some different sound. More or less low bass background stuff. So I'll just play it and you can kind of hear what it sounds like from the beginning a little bit here. Fast forward up here somewhere. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So you'll notice I'm just looking at analog synth, FM synth 3 is where it was actually playing, I believe. Let's see. I'm having trouble finding where it's actually playing now. So you get the idea. You have to, when you change devices, it kind of sends you back to the beginning as far as the window goes. So you got to find the play bar and then see which device has sounds. If you're mixing, you're not playing everything all at the same time, right? So I'm going up, I'm on FM synthesizer or analog synthesizer, and let's see if it's, see, there's nothing playing there. And then I go over here Okay, now here's my play window, or my play bar, and it's on FM Synthesizer 4. So, when you're composing something, you're going to kind of know where your sounds are, but it's a little tricky if you're just trying to figure out where you're playing and which device is playing. So I can take this, let's see here, if I can just kind of go back here. Now I can play it and watch kind of the end of this. And you hear that bass sound, that's should be, yeah, I can't really find it now, but there's a bass sound. It might be in FM Synthesizer 4. I'm not seeing it there either, but that's because I'm not on the play bar. Okay. Yeah. Alright, so we'll go back. And make sure we find the play bar and it's not there. Look for the play bar. There it is. See, it's a little tricky to navigate around and know where you are and all this stuff. Okay, now I'll just play it. So you can see at the end there, it's playing something from a different device, and it's lower. Okay, it's in the same device, but it's lower. That's why. Jeez. Okay. That's about it. Hopefully that gives you some idea how it works, and we'll leave it at that. Have fun.